And I remember growing up and being told you cannot date anybody darker than you. And mind you, I'm pretty dark, okay? He was on the second floor and he was like, Giselle, is that you? You looking kind of chunky from the Vive, vive, llora, y esta negrita no pasa de moda. You guys make me so proud to be Hispanic, to be Latina. Hello, beautifuls. My name is Giselle, co-host of the Strong Sunflowers podcast and founder and CEO of the Create app, an app created specifically for content creators. So think Uber, but for content creators. So if you have a wedding, if you have a baby shower, a birthday, an event, if you're an entrepreneur and you need someone to go behind you and take content, this is the app for you. You can hire local content creators in your area on the app to do all these things. So the app launches in November. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. And today we're gonna talk about everything I hate about being Hispanic. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. But before you hit that dislike button, wait a minute. Let me put some Luda in it. Okay, hold on. Stick to the end, baby. Stick with me. Before we start, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. You guys already know it's Hispanic Heritage Month. It starts mid-September all the way to mid-October. And according to Google, National Hispanic Heritage Month is annually celebrated in the United States for recognizing the contribution and the influence of Hispanic Americans to the history, the culture, and the achievements of the United States. So shout out to us. If you guys don't know, my name is Giselle. I am originally from Cuba, Habana, Cuba, representando. And I came here when I was 6. It's been a minute, about 23 years ago. But as a Hispanic, there's a few things that I hate about being Hispanic, or at least in the Hispanic culture. So let's get right into it. The number one thing I hate about the Hispanic culture or about being Hispanic is the body shaming. Like, you're never good enough. You're always too fat or too skinny. And this starts when you're so young. And I feel like coming from Cuba at 6 years old and growing up in the American culture and the polite society, usually in America, it's very taboo to talk about somebody's weight or appearance, especially a woman and their body. I feel like as we grow up, that grows into some sort of insecurities, which can lead also to eating disorders and just us not feeling worthy at any size, whether we're a 2 or we're a 10. I remember I looked back at pictures and I looked at myself, I was like, oh my gosh, I used to think I was so fat back then. I'm double the size now. What the hell? I was a size 2, I'm a size 10 now. I'm still in denial. Don't come for me. And I know that this happens in other cultures too, but baby, let us have our month, okay? Hispanic Heritage Month. And as I went into school and became a pre-med and was learning about the signs and just other reasons that can cause your weight to fluctuate or for you to gain or lose weight, like your thyroid, you can have PCOS. There's so many people, especially people of color, that suffer from PCOS and they have no idea. And also as I dig more into mental health, the effects of just constantly being called fat or that you're not good enough or you shouldn't eat, that relationship with food gets so distraught because every time you eat something, you're like, oh my gosh, you're fat. Why are you eating that? You should only eat a little. And then this can literally lead to eating disorders. And especially growing up in the States and most of my family still being in Cuba, there's that culture gap that I tend to feel all the time. It's so funny because they always call me the black sheep of the family. And my friend right now is like, girl, call yourself the golden sheep because you're bringing order to this madness, okay? So now every time my dad, he knows better. Dad, if you're watching, he's probably not because he's like, girl, I don't know what you're saying in your videos. I'm making this video in Spanish just for you. But every time my dad comments on my body, he knows better. I'm like, don't you dare, because I will come for you. Because it's especially the men that are severely overweight or that have a beer belly and a huge gut and that don't work out at all are the first ones to be like, oh, see, you're getting a little chubby, you're getting a little chunky, you're gonna eat again, are you gonna go to the gym? Are you gonna go to the gym, sir? Are you going to the gym? So every time he would say something, baby, I would light his ass up. I'm like, look at you, baby. And I don't condemn bullying, but in this occasion, baby, do what you gotta do because they gotta learn the hard way. And it would also happen with my cousin. I remember when she gave birth and maybe a year or 2 years after giving birth, the whole family, I'm talking about The whole family, they come in packs, baby. We're just like, you're so fat, you're so this, you're so that. I'm like, this woman just gave birth. Like, let her be. Like, her hormones are trying to get back to what they were. She's also a diabetic. Like, let her be. Why are you all up in her business? Like, it's not fair. And then I would just, again, pounce on him. Like, look at you. Are you in shape? No, you're not. So stop coming to women's body about how they should look after giving birth and after becoming mothers. And my dad's always like, whoa, calm down. But I just don't, I hate it. Another thing that happened, I went to go visit my mom like 2 years ago, and my uncle, like I said, I'm the golden sheep of the family, so I don't really talk to any of the family members that are here in America because they're crazy. Anywho, so I went to go visit my mom, and my uncle stopped by, and mind you, I haven't seen him in years. And the first thing he said to me was, oh my gosh, Giselle, you're so fat. And the first thing I said to him, that is very disrespectful. You don't know if I'm sick. You don't know if I have health issues. You don't know if I have mental health problems. You don't know if I'm depressed. You don't know if I'm anxiously eating. You don't know shit about my life. And this is the first thing that you greet me with after not seeing me in years? Get the f out of here. Like, no. And I feel like people that have not grown up in Hispanic households, they don't understand this at times. Because yes, in other cultures, I feel like they do the same, but they're more subtle with it. You know what I mean? I took my friend Monica to Cuba, and I was telling her right then and there before we got off the plane, I was like, I'm telling you right now, the fat jokes, the fat shaming is gonna start, like, it's gonna be intense. It's gonna be a lot. And then she's like, oh my gosh, stop being dramatic. Baby, we literally, not even 2 hours landed. I already had 10 people be like, Giselle, is that you? Oh my gosh, you're looking a little chubby. You're looking a little fat. My own grandma, my grandma's friend. We were going up the hill to my grandma's house, and there was this guy on the, I'll never forget, I can't make this shit up. He was on the second floor, and he was like, Giselle, is that you? You looking kind of chunky from the second floor of the building. I looked at Monica, I was like, see, bitch, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm motherfucking talking about. You know, it is not cute, it's not okay. The second thing that I hate about Hispanic culture and about being Hispanic is that I do feel like there's a lot of colorism in the Hispanic culture. Because again, we were conquered by the Spanish. And a lot of their beauty standard is what sticks with us today. So even though we were conquered by the Spanish, we have to remember that there was also the slave trade going on. So there's a lot of West Africans that came in that mix. And the way that I tell the story, you know, because the real story is a little bit more gruesome, the way that I tell the story is like, you know, the Spaniards were like, you're cute. And then they were like, you're cute. And it was like, we're cute together, and then became us. So it's like a mixture and a melting pot. Also, earlier this year, I learned about the Taínos. The Taínos were the first indigenous Americans to feel the full impact of European colonization after Columbus arrived in the New World, which still have descendants in the Caribbean today. And these descendants are mostly in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. But I did my 23andMe, and I am 60% West African, so Nigerian, and I'm 40% European, which is expected. So mostly Spain and Portugal. And I remember growing up and being told you cannot date anybody darker than you. And mind you, I'm pretty dark, okay? And I remember my aunts would be like, you need to find yourself a white man with blue eyes. Mind you, right now at this tender age of 28, I'm not so attracted to blonde hair and blue eyes. That's not my go-to. My go-to is more European, you know, colonizer. I love me a good colonizer. Like the dark hair and the brown eyes. European all the way. But growing up like that, being told that white is better in a sense, you know, like because you don't want to have kids with nappy hair, like that affects the way that you look at your own beauty. You know, that affects the way that you look at your own worthiness. And I can attest to this because I was perming my hair for the last 20 years. You know, I didn't even know what my natural hair looked like. And it wasn't like until 4 years ago that I really had to dig deep into myself and be like, Giselle, you don't go to the hair salon because you love yourself. You go to the hair salon because you hate yourself. You literally go to Dominican hair salons and you're like, oh, I need you to like erase any trace of the African roots, you know, like hit the little like rolitos, curly cues going on here. And I was like, oh my gosh. And also that language, right? That's hateful language. So erase my African roots, you know, with the Dominican blowouts and having straight hair, because in Europe, that's what they have. And that's a standard of beauty. So this has been amazing to embrace like my natural hair. And I have beautiful curly afro. I love it. I miss her. I'm getting rid of this weekend, but it took me some time to really dig into that and to really accept me for me. Like, I love my chocolate skin. I love my skin. I love who I am. And why wouldn't I want to give birth to a baby, to a child, to my child that looks like me? And I'm not saying that I wouldn't marry a blonde haired, blue eyed person. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that whatever baby comes from me is going to be beautiful. No matter if I marry someone from Nigeria or if I marry someone with blonde hair, blue eye from Ireland, you know, whatever it is, my baby's going to be beautiful regardless. And that's really when I learned the difference between self-love and self-care. And now that we have gotten that out of the way, those are the main two things that I hate about being Hispanic in our culture. But baby, there's way more things that I love. Because mind you, I'm a proud Latina through and through, okay? So let's talk about it. As you guys know, I'm from Cuba. So one of the things that I love about being Hispanic is the food. It's, oh my gosh. I remember growing up and coming home and my mom cooking. I don't know what she puts in that sazon, but there's nothing better than Cuban black beans. I don't know, oregano, they be putting garlic in. I don't know what she be doing in the kitchen, but the house would smell like, I would always remember that smell of home. Like the cooking, growing up, ropa vieja was my favorite. When my mom would do those little like picadillos with the little potatoes in it, I would always steal some before she adds them to the picadillo, which is ground beef in English. But just like, the food is amazing. And I remember we grew up so different from the American culture that when I had my white friends come over, I'll never forget. We had a sleepover at my house and I woke up early and I was like, Mom, can you go to the store and get like some cereal or something, you know? And my mom was like, no, there's rice and beans in the fridge. Like leftovers. I was like, oh my gosh. Like these are some white girls from like Siesta Key, baby. No, Mom, like they don't eat rice and beans for breakfast. I'm sorry. Or like when my friends would come over and like there would be like a whole pig. I'm talking about whole pig, head and everything on top of the table. Like, and then like, they were like, what the hell? Such difference in culture, but the food is always a 10 out of 10. And we all have our own little things. Like, oh my gosh, Argentinian asado? Sign me up. Brazilian asado? Sign me up. Even though I don't eat meat now, but back in the day, baby, definitely sign me up. But those Argentinian empanadas, I'm sorry, hands down, the Argentinians make the best empanadas. I'll give you guys that because you can't give them too much because it goes to their head, but your empanadas are A1. And just like waking up on a Saturday morning and your mom waking you up at like 8 a.m. because it's cleaning time, and growing up to your mom listening to like the old songs. And when you were a kid, you hated it, but now as an adult, these are the songs that I listen to. Like, let's represent La India. Like, what? Represent Puerto Rico. Yo te lo regalo. Llévatelo lejos. Él es mala suerte y yo no lo quiero. Mi mayor venganza será 10 out of 10, like blasting the music on Saturday morning. Another big thing that I love is the culture. Like, the Hispanic culture is so different, but at the same time, the same. I don't know how to explain it, but like, es un sazón incomparable. Like, it's uncomparable to anything you've ever felt before. From the culture in Mexico, to the culture in Puerto Rico, to the culture in Cuba, to the culture in Dominican Republic. But I think what really ties it in together is the importance of family. And you feel that. And just the importance of the love that you have for your neighbors, because it's not like in America where most of the times you don't know who the hell your neighbors are. Like, the culture, like you always know your neighbor, and you know your neighbor by name, and you know their kid, and it really takes a village, and it feels like a community that cares for each other, you know? Like, I remember when I came from Cuba at 6, and a lot of my friends were from Mexico, and I would come home talking with a Mexican accent, and my mom would be like, I have never met a black Mexican. So what you got going on? And I'm like, well, you met one now. You do now, baby girl. You do now. Because Mexican accents had me in a chokehold. Call me cultural appropriation. But growing up with like Selena, you know what I mean? I was born in 1995. Selena had died like a couple months before I was born. So it's like growing up with her music. Till this day, she's an icon, a legend. Como la flor, con tanto amor, me diste tú. Se marchitó, me marchó hoy. Yo sé perder, pero ay, como me duele. Tan, taran, taran, tan, taran, taran. Like a vibe. Viva Mexico. And back in those days, I also was obsessed with Thalia. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was Thalia, baby. Me. I'm Thalia. And I would be like around the house like, la gente me señalan, me apuntan con el dedo, susurran mis espaldas, y a mí me importa un bledo, bledo, ¿qué más me da? Si soy distinta a ellos, no soy de nadie, no tengo dueño. ¡Hey! La gente me critica, me consta que me odian. Mi vida les agobia, ¿por qué será? Yo no tengo la culpa. Mis circunstancias les insultan. I had Thalia's album on repeat, baby. And also, you guys know that Mexico has some of the best telenovelas out there. Mexico and Colombia, baby, 2 and 2, twins. Like, growing up with Rubí, era una descarada por ser la más hermosa. No tiene casi nada, pero le gusta. La vida es cara. And now Teresa, which is a newer version of kind of Rubí, and it was just giving that like Maria la del Barrio. That's when I really became obsessed with Thalia, because it was just giving like, you know, that humble girl that comes from nothing, and then like this rich man is obsessed with you. And of course, you look beautiful regardless, porque primero muerta que sencilla. But like, just some amazing telenovelas like RBD, baby, RBD, Sin Senos No Hay Paraíso. Like, all of these 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 to the telenovelas that had me sat after school at 3 p.m. every week. When I was writing this, I started to get teared up because one of my favorite things, one of the things that I love the most about being Hispanic in the Hispanic culture is their courage and their resilience, you know? A lot of us come to this country, we don't know English. I didn't get to experience those things that most Cubans get to live through, like coming on a raft. Like, how much courage do you need to do that? To leave everything behind and literally build a raft of sticks and bottles to try to make it to the United States for a better life. I have family members that came through travesía. They came through South America and made their way up South America, Central America, to the borders of Mexico. They went through crazy experiences, almost died to make it to America, to live the American dream. And of course, it's not just Cubans, a lot of Hispanics, Venezuelans, Colombians, a lot of us just try to make it, and the courage that it takes to come to a country that you don't even know the language, but you work hard, you persevere, and you're resilient every step of the way. 10 out of 10. You guys make me so proud to be Hispanic, to be Latina. And I think sometimes I go as hard as I do because not all of our brothers and sisters have had the opportunity to do the things that we get to do. So when we show up here in America, you best believe we're finishing school. You best believe I'm gonna be the first one to graduate college. You best believe I'm gonna do something with my life. I'm gonna create a business. I'm gonna give back to the community. I love that was passed down to us. And even though we didn't have to go through those trials and tribulations that our parents had to, they walked so we can run. And bitch, I'm running. Bitch, this is a marathon. Bitch, pull up. And I think of musicians like Celia Cruz, an icon, a legend. And the best part for me is that she looks like me, because representation does matter. And she came to the United States in the 1960s, and to be an Afro-Latina from Cuba and to come to the United States to represent us the way that she represented us, an honor, will always be an honor and a privilege. And it's like, growing up with her music too is like, la negra tiene el tumbao, azúcar, azúcar, y no camina de lado, y no camina de lado, y no camina de lado, la negra tiene el tumbao. Like, to hear the power, oh, I'm a crier. But to hear the power of those words, you know, like, I am black and I am proud. And just her music has always had so much soul in it, you know? Like, vive, llora, que a cada cual le llega su hora. Vive, vive, llora, y esta negrita no pasa de moda. Ba ba da ba da ba dang, ba ba da ba da bang. It's just a vibe. It's just a vibe. Our culture is a vibe. And I don't even have to mention the music because you're catching the vibes. And speaking of vibes, it's just the vibes. Like, my friends are freaking hilarious. Shout out to Noelia, I freaking love her. We're always cracking up. And it's also like our dark sense of humor because of the trauma that we grew up with. It's always a good time, it's always laughter. And one of the things that I love, that I was born in Cuba, you know, I came to the States later in life. And I always say a 6-year-old Cuban is like a 12-year-old in American years. But I'm so glad that I was born there because it humbles me every time, because the people in Cuba have nothing. And you'll still see them dancing, singing in the streets. You know, they have nothing and they have so much joy in their life. And that's how I want to live my life here or wherever I go from here, you know? And I feel like in America we have everything, but we always want more. So I love that I can always go back to my roots and take my little baths with like the little cup of water and a bucket. And it really humbles me. And I will always be grateful and thankful for that. Because I really feel like we were born with sazon, with rhythm in our veins, baby. Our veins, like sometimes, like I remember I went to Cuba and we were like at this place, and a lot of my cousins' family are santos and they practice santeria, and they were doing like some dancing and they had like los tambores, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel it. Like it's literally in our blood to have rhythm and sazon. And of course, my birthday is next month. And my birthday song of the year is going to be Karol G. And I was like, ¿qué hubiera sido si antes te hubiera conocido? Ey, seguramente no estarás bailando hasta conmigo. Ey, no como amigo, pero como otra cosa. Tu novia se pone celosa. Yo por ti haría cualquier cosa. Y aunque es hermosa, ¡ey! No te va a tratar como yo, no te va a besar como yo, no está tan rica así como yo. Ella es tímida y yo no, con esas ganas que tengo yo. ¡Ey! A vibe, a mood. Like, if you're ever depressed or down, go listen to some Hispanic music. Go listen to some reggaeton. Baby, those Dominicans will have you like, ay Lupita, hey, ay Lupita, ay Lupita, hey. Or the Cuban music, y con la punta del pie, guachineo, con la punta del pie, guachineo, de tanto guachineo, tengo hasta mareo, hey. Go listen to some gente de zona, seriously. But I'm so proud to be Hispanic, I'm so proud to be Latina, I'm so proud to be representing Cuba and this space, and yeah, I love where we come from. I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, which will be right over here. Bye!